Man, first off, congrats to the Knicks. They earned it. After 53 years of being the joke of the NBA, they finally got their ring. New York showed up in the clutch moments when it mattered most, and they deserve all the praise coming their way. Jalen Brunson played like an absolute monster, dropping 45 points in Game 5 and carrying that team down the stretch. That's Finals MVP level performance right there. But honestly, this video is not about celebrating New York or their incredible championship run. This is about what the hell happened to the San Antonio Spurs. Because what we just witnessed was one of the most pathetic collapses I have ever seen in playoff basketball in my entire life.
It's not like people have my phone number and call me I don't watch those shows. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. Can't change it now. And no one's just coming up yelling at you in your face about it. So it is what it is. We're trying to move on from that. Obviously, continue to learn from the mistakes that we made and how we lost the lead or how we finished the game poorly. But
And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it or try to be nice about it. The Spurs had the second best record in the entire NBA all season long. They had the unanimous Defense Player of the Year in Victor Wembanyama. They were top 5 on both sides of the floor, defensively and offensively. They had one of the deepest and most talented rosters in basketball. Every analyst said they were the team to beat, and they blew a championship that was literally sitting right there in their hands for the taking. Not only did they lose the finals, they lost every single game with a double-digit lead. Every single game. We're not talking about 1 or 2, we're talking about 5 straight games where they were in control and completely fell apart. Game 1, they led by 14 points. Games 2 and 3, they led by 12 at different points. Game 4, they were up by a historic 29 points at halftime, 29 points. And then Game 5, they were up by 16 in the second half, and yet they still managed to find creative ways to lose all 5 games. This wasn't even a competitive finals. This was self-sabotage on a historic level that might be the worst choke job in modern NBA Finals history.
If you're up 3, you gotta guard your man at the 3-point line. And there should be no closeout opportunity. No closeout opportunity. We told them that they know the only thing that can hurt us is a 3. And I need to go back and watch the film to see exactly where Fox was, but there was no reason for there to be a hard closeout. We were okay with them scoring a 2 at the rim, so you should not be in position to help at all. You should be hugged up to your man at the 3-point line. Everybody should. Why there was a closeout by Fox, I'm not sure. I gotta go back and watch the tape. But for sure, 100%, we told our guys, can't give up a 3. Can't give up a 3. Can't give up a 3. Stay connected. Stay on the high side. Stay on the high side. I even drew an example of if your guy's on the floor, just hop on his high side. The only thing that can hurt us is a 3. And we close out and we foul with 3 seconds to go.
Let me break down what actually happened, because there's multiple layers to this disaster and each one is important to understand. First, Mitch Johnson got completely outcoached by Mike Brown. And I mean absolutely. Totally outmatched in every single game of the series. Johnson made defensive decisions that made absolutely no sense whatsoever throughout the finals. He put Wembanyama on Karl Anthony Towns, who was a terrible defensive assignment when Josh Hart was available as an option and had proven to work perfectly well in previous series. They literally did the same thing successfully against Alex Caruso and the Oklahoma City Thunder in the earlier round. Why would you randomly change a game plan that works against a tougher opponent? His rotations were questionable at best and completely terrible at worst throughout the entire final series. He kept playing Julian Champagnie way too much in clutch situations when the man was getting picked on relentlessly on the defensive end and consistently missing open threes. He made the baffling decision to sit Wembanyama in crucial moments of Game 5 when your franchise player and best defender should absolutely be closing out quarters and closing out games. And when both De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper were both playing poorly, instead of naturally giving the promising young rookie more playing time to see what he could do, he kept riding with the veteran who was clearly not performing. This was legitimately some of the worst coaching I've personally seen in the NBA Finals in a very long time, and it cost them at least 1 or 2 games straight up. But here's the thing about Johnson. That's actually important to understand about how the Spurs should handle this situation. I don't think he should get fired immediately in some panic-driven knee-jerk reaction because he's a young coach and this is technically his first real year building the program from scratch. That would be reactionary and dumb. But the Spurs absolutely need to hire an assistant coach who could potentially replace him next season if things don't improve. That's not a bad strategy at all. Give him one more year to show he can make real adjustments and prove himself capable of winning championship-level basketball. If he doesn't improve significantly next year and show real growth, boom, you got his replacement already in-house, ready to take over. That's smart front office management right there. Beyond the coaching failures, this team desperately needs to add more size and depth in the front court. Outside of Victor Wembanyama, they literally don't have anybody at the power forward or center positions who can consistently perform at a high level. Luke Kornet looked decent in the regular season, but completely fell apart when it mattered in the postseason. Mitchell Robinson literally bullied and pushed Wembanyama around for rebounds throughout this series because the Spurs have no other legitimate big men on their roster who can help. Michael Porter Jr. should be the move for the front office this offseason. He can shoot the three, he can play solid defense, and he solves the spacing problem that plagued them all series. If you don't make this trade or find a similar big man this offseason, you're actively handicapping your team unnecessarily and setting yourself up for another disappointing playoff run. Dylan Harper needs significantly more minutes going forward. The kid was the best Spurs player on the floor in Game 5. He outperformed De'Aaron Fox in every single way throughout this entire postseason. He's a rookie, and he's showing more heart and better decision-making than a 28-year-old supposed veteran. That tells you everything you need to know about what's coming down the pipeline with this team. Now let me talk about Victor Wembanyama, because I've been one of his biggest supporters all year. And I'm gonna be real with you. What I just watched was the worst 5-game stretch of his career. Worse than when he was coming off the bench early in the season. Defensively, he was overwhelmed by how the Knicks stretched the floor and kept him rotating. Offensively, he never got going because he's a lob threat and a roller. He's not a primary shot creator, and New York exposed that relentlessly. But more importantly, his decision-making and processing was absolutely terrible. The throwing it off Stephon Castle's back was embarrassing, but that's not even the worst part. He couldn't figure out if he was supposed to set screens. When he did roll, he couldn't decide whether to roll or pop. When he got the ball, he'd just stop and think about what to do instead of attacking immediately. The man had zero rhythm all series long. Here's the thing though, Wembanyama is still a generational talent and he can fix this, but he absolutely has to work on being a more functional scorer. Stop relying on step-back threes and fancy dribbling moves. Get to spots on the floor where you feel comfortable. Develop go-to moves. Work on pick-and-roll offense, because that's where his bread and butter should be. The Knicks defense forced him to rethink everything in real time, and he clearly wasn't prepared for that. Next year, he will be. But here's who absolutely needs to leave this team. De'Aaron Fox. And I'm being serious about this. This man averaged 13 points in the finals on 34% shooting. A 20-year-old rookie outplayed him consistently. A rookie, Fox shot 1 for 5 in Game 1 second half, 3 for 8 in Game 3 second half, 2 for 8 in Game 4 second half, 1 for 7 in Game 5 second half. In the fourth quarter across the series, he was abysmal. 1 for 2, 1 for 2 again, 2 for 6, 1 for 5, 0 for 4 in Game 5. This is the dude who was signed to be the veteran leader who closes out games. He was signed to help the young guys get over the hump. He's about to make $50 million a year, and he couldn't do the one thing he was supposed to do, which is win games in the second half of the finals. What makes this entire situation even worse is that Fox is now actively getting in the way of Dylan Harper's development and future growth. They play the exact same position. Harper is showing all the signs that he can be at least as good as Fox, if not significantly better in his very first year in the NBA. Why would you handicap that kid's growth trajectory just to keep a redundant aging player on your roster? Make that trade within the next 2 weeks maximum. I'm talking directly to the Spurs front office. You need to move De'Aaron Fox immediately off this team because keeping him is going to force you to make a terrible financial decision down the line with Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper all needing extensions and raises simultaneously. That's not a smart long-term roster construction strategy at all. I understand why Spurs fans are absolutely devastated right now. This was supposed to be your year. You had everything set up perfectly with the second-best record. You had all the pieces in place. But here's the reality of the situation moving forward. Everyone on this roster is young and hungry. This team will definitely be back in the finals. They exceeded expectations by an enormous margin just getting there in the first place. The way they lost is ugly and painful, but you got a solid 5-year window with these core guys to win multiple championships. Learn the hard lessons from this collapse, make the roster moves, and come back stronger. That's the business of basketball. But you absolutely cannot let De'Aaron Fox stay on this team moving forward. His contract is an albatross around your cap space, and his performance was inexcusable. Get him out of there. Use that freed up cap space to fill the holes on your roster and let your young guys continue to grow and develop at their own pace. That's the only move that actually makes sense for the future direction of this franchise. Everything else can be fixed with coaching adjustments and targeted roster additions in free agency or trades. But Fox has to go. Period. No negotiations. Peace.